Welcome back. We just switched it up. This is John Beethan with Rebekah Freedom, and this is episode 18 from Heard Not Seen. You can get that at heardnotseen.com. And the title of this one is Orgasms and Coming Home. Good morning, Rebekah.
Good freaking morning, everybody. I am so stoked about this topic. Who isn't stoked about orgasms? I am clicking and bumping around here in the old shop because I dressed up today. So
She looks marvelous.
I got a tight little dress on, got my big glasses on, good lipstick. Everything is
awesome.
Ready to rock and roll. Check out the Instagram, Rebekah Freedom, if you want to see behind the scenes of Heard Not Seen. Okay, so let's jump in today. Mm-hmm. I have had this week of highs and lows, just the ups and downs. And I'm recognizing that without orgasm in our life, without really giving ourselves permission to have pleasure, we're lost. We don't have a compass. We don't have like a pleasure. Take me on a pleasure cruise. We don't have a place to really put our desires. And so we tuck them away in shame. And the shout outs I'm going to give right off here is Miriam. She is a sex and relationship coach, and I had the privilege of going up and meeting with her. Her business is pleasureasmedicine.com. I don't know if it's a comma. Maybe
we'll look it up and mention it in the show notes.
We'll Googles. We'll get the Googs. So I met with her and was up at this really great mansion up in the hills of Rancho Santa Fe, and we were just sort of luxuriating and talking. And what I noticed in my own body was this guarded tightness, this sense of like, oh, she knows something more about me than I know about myself. And it took me a really long time to, as they say in the industry, drop in. I put air quotes around it. Get your spirit and your soul and your body all lined up. And so we were just visiting with each other and talking about big plans. And as I go into this and as people are really listening, I want to say the underlying intention of this. I also feel like any hand gestures I do during this entire podcast are just going to be totally sexual. So you can't see this either, but I just did the scooping hand gesture. Just take it for what you will. The underbelly. How's your father? The underbelly of this podcast is that while we're all here on Earth co-creating together, we all have these different ideas about what being expressed fully is. We have different ideas about how it's appropriate, not appropriate, when it fits, when it doesn't fit, where we can put judgments that are okay, judgments that are not okay, where we all stack them together. It's something called the church. It's like, come and judge. But then, be set free too. So the intention of this podcast is to really help people come back home to themselves and to expand into this energy called orgasm. First step, big breath. Yeah. Drop in. Second step, meaning you bring your full awareness to your body, to just how your clothes are resting on your body, to the scenery. If you have coffee in your hand, the warmth of the mug in your hand, or if it's an iced coffee because you're still somewhere warm, you're Indian summer in the country, that you see the little dew precipitation on it. You really just drop into like the multitude of sensory experiences that are available for you right now. Right now. Let's go on a little journey, shall we? Let's storyline it. So this month, I have the privilege of working with some rock star clients, some amazing clients. And I will say that in every single client, I see a little flicker or reflection of myself too. You can't do this work without being like, oh yeah, me too, me too, me too. And as a side note on this storytelling that I'm going to go into, I realize that when I get on stage and do stand up, right, when that comes, that I am going to crucify myself on the gods of comedy and offer myself up and in the premise of saying you can't take your clients further than you've been yourself. You sort of like that essence of knowledge. Is there another way to say it?
Well, it becomes integrated into your body. Mm-hmm. And without that integration, there's a whole big piece that doesn't get communicated.
We spend a lot of time, I think, going, no, I won't feel that. I'm not going to feel that. Mm-hmm. And to say that those mechanisms help us survive, right? Like if in a moment a gazelle was being chased by a lion and it was stopping and being like, you know, my father really mistreated me and the fact you're chasing me is really triggering right now. Apparently we have a like New York gazelle. What are you doing, lion? Like, you need to do your own work. Do your work. Stop chasing me already. I can't. I'm not your dinner. I'm a person. I'm a gazelle. I'm a being. I'm a sentient being. Do you, boo? That's kind of how dating is these days. Swipe, swipe, swipe. He's all like, I'm going to go hang out with the alligator. Much nicer smile.
Rich imagery of that one.
Dating on the Serengeti, brought to you by Jewish voice Rebekah. There's a snake in my boot. Just pull my strings. So I never fucking know what the hell is going to come up when I do these podcasts. God bless people. Just strap in, buckle up, get on the ride, put your hands up. It's more fun that way.
It really is.
Whee! So the story of this is our bodies agree to whatever we tell them to do. Shut down. They say, okay, we'll shut down. And then all of a sudden we're like, why can't I have an orgasm? I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum because I go these long stretches without having sex at all. Like when I get with somebody, my body's like a freaking machine gun. It's like, rapid fire. We've been saving this up all last year. Done. That's all right. We have a little distortion there. So, anywho, bodies, your ability to feel, your ability to gasm out instead of contract in.
What a great word, gasm.
Just gasming. You can add it to anything.
No kidding.
You know, foodgasm, moongasm, musicgasm, coffeegasm. Yeah.
So actually, I invite everybody to like write in and let us know what your favorite gasm is. Seriously.
Yeah, what's your gasm?
What's your email address, Rebekah?
Oh, yeah. The email you can reach me at best is freespirittherapy@gmail.com.
freespirittherapy@gmail.com.
Or you can go to my website, RebekahFreedom.com. We'll give all that at the end.
Good. So we can build this into the show, just so you know.
Yeah.
Like Jane asked a question.
Yeah. Hi, Jane. Hi, Rebekah. What's a gasm? Apparently, Jane is a cross-dresser in Tennessee. What's a gasm? Oh, all right. Let's get to the story part. Hot knees. That's the title of the story. Hot knees. Because when I work with clients, right, everyone has their own comfort level around if I'm like vagina, pussy, cunt, if I'm, or dick, penis, blowhole, whatever. I don't know. That's just fucking jamming with it. So you can't necessarily start there. You have to, like there's same with foreplay. You don't necessarily just go for gold. Like build up to it.
And you miss a whole lot if you do. If you bypass all that.
So in a session with a client who will go unnamed because duh.
Are they listening?
Confidentiality is a real thing.
Man or woman?
I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you.
Okay. Don't tell me, please.
Sentient being. Could be an orangutan. Who knows?
See, you have ethics.
Yes, I do. That's because I dropped $60K on going to get my master's at Naropa University, and they drill it into you. You get drilled. But, not the type of drill we're talking about today. So the whole thing is to start in your body in a place that feels neutral. So when I was doing the guided meditation with this particular client, I started somewhere where I was like totally neutral, your knees. I was like, every other part of you can be numb, but let your knees be turned on.
Awesome.
Like those patellas are hot. Like all the energy, all the gasm, the music, the food, the sounds, the sights, the travel, the pain sometimes, the sorrow, the poeticness. Let's just let it reside on top of your knees. And naturally, it was a little bit tricky to get there. Because we store so much and we just put so much energy into the virtues of protection, of fight, flight, freeze, right? Of just protect, put walls up, wall off. And then all of a sudden we're like, I don't know. How did I turn into my mother? Why am I working this job that I'm not really... And here's the thing that I found. It's not that the job is a bad job. It's that the gratitude has gone out of the building and the perspective is not there to appreciate the kneegasms. It's not the perspective to say like, hey, what do I have right now in this moment? Let's just do it. Let's rapid fire. Let's do it all.
Okay.
3 things that you're super grateful for on this day right now.
Well, I am this side of the sod. That's
Yes.
number 1.
Yes.
3 things?
3.
That I have a deep resonance and compassion for certain kinds of music. I woke up this morning with music in my head, which I do every morning. I'm grateful for that. And the sunshine.
Oh.
I went out this morning. It was really cold. Yeah. And but the sun was there. And I just allowed the sun to come in.
I love that. And there's another book. I think Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Well, there's a follow-up book, Thank and Grow Rich.
Think
and
Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear about that? Tuesday night?
I heard about it from
Wasn't it at the Inner Temple?
No, the owner of Lemongrass.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Tara, I think.
Tara,
yeah.
yes.
She's like directing us to kind of do the pick 3 things that you're grateful for and find a buddy and share them back and forth. I made it a week, but we'll see if I can.
I didn't hear from you.
Keep going with it. Well, yeah, I picked a different buddy.
Oh, okay.
So that's another thing in this moment. If you are having judgments about pleasure in your life, or you're having a difficult time really gasming anywhere in your life, the first step of that is gratitude. Is just find 3 things: clean water, maybe a friend that you really enjoy, or you can appreciate one part of your body, like the strength of your hands or whatever. And then you just practice that every day. You pick three, you pick three and you sort of go into that. Or if you have a difficult time at work or your financial situation, there is the greatest treasure is in our wounds. And enlightenment is always on the other side of resistance. So when I say that, if I say enlightenment is on the other side of resistance, how do you make sense of a cute little bumper sticker phrase like that?
How do I make sense of it?
Yeah.
Well, some sort of lightened understanding usually comes when you just let go of that resistance, that tightening, and just be open to something new. So usually, I mean, it's sort of like every problem does come prepackaged with the solution.
Whoop, whoop, I like it. I'll put that on the back of my Subaru and drive to Boulder.
And I'll invoice you for that because it's worth millions.
So, and that's the thing is in actual physical orgasm, the deep contraction precedes the release. And you need that, like you actually, that tightening of your body precedes that expansive openingness and being able, but here's the interesting thing. If you really gasm out far, if it's not just this tight little rocks off thing and you want to go into the energetic space, it's practicing the breathing and the relaxing into it, the journey there, right? And a lot of us are always like, why isn't it happening now? Me. Now. Why not now? Tantrum. How about now? Tantrum? So, yeah, we can't really necessarily like tantrum our way into it. So some really great techniques of how to use orgasm so you can come home to yourself. So you can really come home to you. I'm noticing after doing all these years of counseling that the complaints we have in relationship about another person are just the disowned parts of ourselves. So I'm going to say a little bit more about that. Let's say you always wanted to be a ballerina and you always wanted to dance, but you were told that's stupid. A business degree is what you need to do. And this could be true for male or female people, not gender. I always wanted to be an artist, or I always wanted to actually be a scientist, but I was in a family that didn't approve of that or something. And so you tuck it away because it's just not acceptable. This is a classic storyline. It's not acceptable, but it's still in there. It's still picking at you. So you could see ballerinas and be like, oh, so lame. Just have an aversion. You build an aversion to them, but you're also secretly really, or you build a strong attraction. Like, I just love I love going to the ballet. I wish I would have done it, blah, blah, blah. The minute that you allow your body to have that, to say, I'll have that, maybe you don't perform at the highest length, but you find a studio that you go dance in. And you let your body have that, and you start that period of integration. You start to really soothe those parts of you that were exiled, that were pushed away, hidden, told they weren't good enough. And you get to embrace them. Embrace them.
You know what I just got was, Rebekah, go to your room.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it's just like, you put it away in a room. Or you do go to your room and you do that thing that's actually calling you.
Masturbation, generally. Which I would say is a very important tool if you're doing it consciously without porn and you're actually visiting with your body. If you're in sort of a mindfulness state of saying like, hi sensations, hi body, hello. And not coming to it with a place of heaviness, of shame, of like, oh, somebody else should be doing this. Why am I doing it? It's like, because when you know what feels good, you get to really have more voice about it and communicate it more clearly. And as you express to another person, you alchemize and catalyze together and build this bigger momentum and this thing called creation. And then it's like the journey that it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds, and dreams can build over the course of years. You just have to keep asking, like, what's it going to take for me? What's it going to take? What's it going to take for me to get there? What's it going to take for me to get there? Practice, 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 hone your skill.
Yeah.
Zero in on your orgasm, get there, get there, get there, get there. But don't worry about the ebb and flow. It's not just a rocket. It's not just a, and if you want that, that's the whole porn industry.
Right there in a nutshell.
Like a scrotum in a nutshell.
Well, as you were talking, and although I've never surfed, I just had this rich image of surfing. Mm-hmm. It's just not about catching the wave. It's about everything that comes before and after.
Put your wetsuit on. Yeah, the whole
That's true of anything, really.
Yeah, the arc of the whole experience, So...
That's awesome, Rebekah.
Thanks, Spirit. I was recently told, too, that because I garnered this title of psychic or clairvoyant, it makes me less credible to the credentials and the years that I actually have in the field of experience. And I really sat with that big time, because I was like, I don't trust a lot of life coaches. I think they're hawking wares, a lot of times too. So I'm just like, I know I'm being lumped in with the crew a little bit, but I was like, meh, it's about the work.
Yeah.
It's about the work.
Yeah. For me, when I hear that, to me, it gives a feeling of expansion, and it makes total sense. And I'm sorry, you cannot be lumped into the category of life coaching. I've met a lot of quote unquote life coaches. So anyway.
Yeah. So what I did feel was that old Apostle Paul thing of like, you can't be all things to all people, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And I will be ruled by no thing.
Okay, so I understand that when people say that you can't be all things, you can't please everybody, without an agenda and wanting to get something from trying to please everybody. Without all that, I actually think it is possible. But you'll never know because you're not paying attention to it. In other words, some people may, many people may get something. Maybe not exactly what your agenda was, but they would get something.
Right.
I know that sounds fairly vague,
right?
But I just noticed in myself when I stopped paying attention to the outcome in my agenda, then I got response, feedback, whatever, that there was a gratitude and appreciation for however I had showed up in that moment.
Well, and we're all contributions in our own way in our decision making, our selection process. And so what I'm aware of when I got told, you may be being psychic really is a discredit to the work and the years of labor you've put in and the insights you actually have. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, that's cool, because the people that I'm not supposed to work with will bounce off of that. They'll bounce off of that. And they'll bounce to somebody who is probably a little bit better fit, that they can sort of gain ground with. And because there's plenty of healers, I'm not the only one. And I am the only one that does it like I do it.
That's been my experience.
I'm the only one that pulls it in and translates it in the way I do. And I want to say, since we're talking about orgasm, that is what your body does. Your body is the only body that is going to take this energy body, this great everything and distill it down into your groin and create this like sensation of orgasm. Ain't nobody else's body gonna do that but your body.
Yeah.
But your body. And so orgasm is constantly the act of coming home to ourselves. Always. It will tell us where we've numbed ourselves, where we've hidden from ourselves, the lies we've told ourselves, the anger we haven't decided to feel, whatever you're able to stick into the realm of subtleties or up on the shelf in your life and move forward in the direction of just getting things done will show up in that intimate space. Always. Every single time. Every single time. Deep breath, everybody. Deep breath. Oh, yeah. This is the ladies' lady.
So, Rebekah, question. What is happening when a friend of mine, a lady friend of mine, talks about her boyfriend and all the rest of it and whatever, hasn't had any kind of sexual relation for a long time and then just has it and says, I just really needed that release. Is it a release? Or is it the coming home?
It's a communion with it's the tapping into desire, that release of like, I want to know for sure that I'm here. And nothing is more thrilling than feeling death and still being alive. So orgasm, again, la petite mort, the tiny death, and then you get reborn in that moment. If you're a guy, you get tryptophan in your body and you fall asleep. If you're a girl, you're like, let's go again. Sometimes. So specific to her, is it a release? It's finally a moment of presence to be in communion with her body. And what is more of a release than being completely in the now and not fretting about the future or worried about the past of the what ifs. It all just falls away for that space and time. And you can breathe it out. You can breathe that into your life. You don't have to have a genital orgasm to be able to walk around turned on. Right?
Right.
You get to listen to the sound of my voice and delight your ears. You get to eat your food and slow down and taste it, whether it be a piece of arugula or the richest chocolate cake you have ever experienced. You get to feel, I've had just this epic experience of having my body painted and being on a table for 3 hours with paintbrushes going up and down my skin. And I was like, that should be a therapy. But you get to actually feel that sense of paintbrushes come from the inside out as you like move your breath, as you learn to contract your muscles and release them, as you practice awareness in the now, and you give yourself permission to show up as you are, messy, confused, amorous, all of it.
On episode 17 last week, you had mentioned something about the sip.
The sip, yeah.
So let's mention that one again.
Okay.
Because it's relevant to what we're talking about.
When you drink wine, or let's say in my case, I love whiskey. I love whiskey neat. It's my only James Bond quality. So, is good bourbons and whiskeys. So, or wine or whatever it might be, a really good brewed cup of coffee. That first experience of the aroma, the color, the feel of the glass in your hand, the ambiance it creates, the anticipation that rises in your body to to be there. It's also, I would say, the first, not only sip, but also the first kiss of someone new. You haven't kissed yet, right? And I've done this. I'm guilty of looking at people's lips and being like, and all of it is that nuanced electric feeling that as soon as that touches your palate, it races through your whole body if you are present enough with it. And the sip then becomes the modality, the mode in which you invite the whole meal, the whole experience into you. We're all little invitations for each other. And we just sometimes don't know how to RSVP.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is conscious aphrodisiacing.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. Copyright 2016. So in this moment, I know there's so much suffering in the world, and that's why, I know we start loud and boisterous in these things, because it's like that's how it feels that we're relating to each other, is by like crashing into one another and with our judgments and our worries and our fears and our sense of like, am I crazy for knowing what I know? And I think I see you, but you're hiding behind this smoke screen and I don't know how to relate to you. And I want to get to that place, but maybe I don't want to get to that place. Maybe I want to just live my calling. What the fuck is my calling? How do I do this? 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 And that's how we start these podcasts, is like, and then down, drop in. So there's so much more richness that can come out of the gasm. Wow, the gasm of life and what it means to come home to yourself. On my Instagram this morning, I said, freedom is coming home to me, because, I'm Rebekah Freedom, but freedom is like, I'm going to say it and then I'm going to explain it. And then we're going to bullet point today's podcast. So freedom is your identity beyond your identity. I'm going to say it, write it down, everyone. Freedom is your identity beyond your identity. Someone else said this in a really good way, of alone together. You're alone together. So first you kind of go through that adolescent developmental phase of who am I? Who am I in the world? How do I relate to people? Each person I kind of show up a little bit different with. And that's me. That's who I am. So I can start to tell you who I am. I can say things like, I'm an Italian. I was born in San Jose, California. I have these life experiences really tend to be the story, the script of how we tell who we are. When you meet people and go through your dating interview process, you sort through your common ground. You play your little go fish, get your pairs, your gin rummy-ish kind of dating game of like, oh, you grew up in Boston, so did I, whatever. And you pair off in the I am this kind of thing. That's the original identity. Freedom is the identity beyond the identity, which is, I have no identity, because the only time that you can really experience who I am is right now, beyond the story. And our bodies, how is that? Our bodies, the lines on my face tell you who I am. If I've been in the sun, if I haven't been in the sun, where I've been, I am the rings of a tree. I am a giant redwood planted right in front of you to experience. That is freedom. That is the freedom of relating. That is the place that gasms rise and fall, and that you are able to just be right there. Identity is like the place we house all our stories. who am I? And you should know about it, okay? I'm going to let you know. So, and then, people are like, and if you don't like it, hashtag only God, I fucked that up. If people don't know who I am or don't like it, they're like, only God can judge me. We go into these little protective places, back into our cocoons again. And so the cycle goes. And so it's messy. It's messy and fun and exciting and scary and everything in between, gasms in between. If I had a client here right now, and for people listening to this podcast, that's an invitation. Like, if you're ready to gasm, if you're ready to really be like, okay, I've done the traditional work with therapists or maybe a life coach, or I've been in the self-help aisle long enough, and you're ready to come home to yourself and gasm and be that full expression, that identity beyond the identity, then I encourage you to reach out to me at RebekahFreedom.com. That's REBEKAH freedom.com. This was a fun one today.
I heard.
Oh, bring it. Let them know. This is so big. We're all grown up. Number 18. It took us. We aged like a fine cheese. Now we're on 18, and voila. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we submitted to iHeartRadio. It normally happens in a week or two. It took almost a month, but we're there. Yes. So, and it's on the website. There's a link, and if you just click on that link, if you're on a phone, it'll just like launch iHeart, and there you go. But it's a big deal. Just do a search for Rebekah Freedom. That's REBEKAH Freedom.
Yep.
Or Heard Not Seen.
So you can download the app on your phone.
Right.
And I'm all my characters and all this goodness and all this philosophy and me doing it the only way I can.
Yeah.
Is right there at your fingertips.
No, it's awesome.
Amazing. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Amen. Glory.
Yeah.
Orgasm. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Be sovereign. Take care.